Hello folks, Min-Max Munchkin back with a brief overview of the Beastress, a build that combines the Shifter race from the latest Eberron book, Rising from the Last War, and the new Unearthed Arcana Barbarian subclass, the so-called Path of the Beast, which I already talked about in a video linked somewhere at the top of this video screen. If the campaign or one-shot that you are about to play in is intended for characters between level 1 and level 7, your DM allows playtest content and you want to be a beastly primal brute, I'm sure this potent mix will serve you and your party very well. This particular barbarian build blends the theme and the flavor with the strong mechanics supporting the overall character concept. First, there's the Shifter, and not just any Shifter, but the Beasthide subrace specifically. As always, I use point buy for this build, as it's both reliable and flexible at the same time. However, if you roll for stats or use standard array, your starting ability scores will be slightly different. Nevertheless, physical stats take precedence at lower levels in most cases, so lower intelligence and charisma scores won't bother you a lot, or maybe even at all. Maximize your constitution and strength, keep the dexterity high for armor class and saving throws, and put 2 leftover points in wisdom for better skill proficiency bonuses, namely perception, right? As you can see, constitution is the only odd number, and yes, that means you will be taking a feat that I'll talk about in a minute or two. Now, in my opinion, the name of the subrace can't get any better to begin with, and the racial bonuses are just what the barbarian needs. In this particular case, the combo of constitution plus 2 racial bonus and shifting plus shifting feature traits results in a character that can have a combined total of 25 hit points at level 1. Now, when you combine this further with Rage, which halves the damage you take, this can easily put you over 50 effective hit points at level 1. Sure, these temporary hit points are random and sometimes the damage you take is non-physical, like let's say fire or poison, but the fact it scales with both your character level and, to a lesser extent, your constitution modifier means that you can stack some serious temporary hit points once per short rest. And if that's not enough for you, once you hit level 3, you get your Form of the Beast feature, which gives you 3 natural melee weapon options to choose from every time you rage. Thematically and mechanically, I think Bite is the best pick, because sooner or later your current hit points will be lower than your maximum hit points, even with the shifting traits temporary hit points on top. So instead of relying on clerics, druids or bards to heal you, or maybe a DM to just let you get a short rest when you most need it, you can effectively heal yourself once a turn. This also does make this build slightly more mad, multiple ability score dependent, as you will want your constitution score as high as possible, but for a barbarian, that's hardly a problem. Now, why is that? Well, besides the hit points, which directly benefit from higher constitution score, the good old unarmored defense that all barbarians get at level 1 effectively gives you 15 armor class right away. And since you get shield proficiency, as soon as you scrounge up 10 gold in your pouch, you can visit the nearest armor shop and buy a shield to bump that number up to 17. And once you activate your shifting feature trait, on top of your temporary hit points, you also get a +1 to armor class for a total of 18. And if you think that that number, 18, is as high as it goes for this build, I've probably failed to keep your attention, so let me remind you about the feat that I mentioned a minute or two ago. Durable feat both fits the theme and the concept, as well as stacks with several key mechanics of the build. The +1 bump to constitution score simultaneously further increases your armor class, which is now basically 19. Raises your bite weapon regeneration, making it a +4 hit points once per turn. Increases your maximum hit points by 1 per character level, and also gives you 1 more temporary hit point every time you use your shifting trait. On top of that, your character's fate is now much less dependent on RNGesus' blessings, because the minimum hit points you regain from each hit die is 8 instead of, let's say, 5, 4, or who knows how low it can go, right? Now, all these hit points are for nothing if we can't mount any meaningful offense, right? Extra attack at level 5 gives you 2 opportunities for both damaging the enemy and regaining some of those lost hit points in the process. And if the enemy is resistant or even immune to non-magical attacks and damage, your level 6 Bestial Soul feature will cancel that out completely, as well as make you ready to deal with all sorts of terrains, environments and circumstances. In terms of progression, it's quite straightforward and simple. This build is viable from level 1. It kind of peaks around level 3 or 4, once you get your Form of the Beast and your durable feat. You can go higher than level 7 with this character, but it's best suited for tier 1 and lower tier 2 campaigns. At level 1 you get your shifting trait, temporary hit points, and armor class. Rage gives you additional damage, halves the damage you take, gives you advantage on strength save checks and all of that jazz. Unarmored defense gives you higher armor class, 10 plus dex plus constitution modifier. At level 2 you get your reckless attack, on demand advantage, with the caveat of all of your enemies get advantage against you. Danger sense giving you advantage on dex saves. It's a bit better on you because your dexterity bonus is +2. At level 3 obviously Path of the Beast, Form of the Beast. You get your bite weapon. At level 4 you take durable feat from your ability score improvement. At level 5 extra attack gives you 2 attacks per attack action, and fast movement increases your movement from 30 to 40. At level 6 Bestial Sword, magic damage, magical weapons, and obviously modes of movement on top of the walking speed. At level 7 I actually think that taking a level in Fighter, especially if the DM allows the class variants on Earthed Arcana, is more beneficial, because you get one more way to regain hit points via Second Wind feature, and you get the Battle Master maneuvers, which further augment your martial capabilities. I will expand upon this a bit more in my detailed build breakdown videos, so if you want to know more, bite that subscribe button and grapple the bell icon to get notified when it gets published. Nothing really prevents you from going even higher in Barbarian, but in my opinion this character is best suited for lower levels, and if I was playing something like this I wouldn't go higher than level 7. Now, where can you play a character like this? Honestly, anywhere. Mechanical side is actually quite flexible, and in terms of background and backstory you can mold it to fit almost any setting, in my opinion. Obviously, if the DM doesn't allow Eberron races, Shifter is an Eberron race, and or Unearthed Arcana content, something like this is out of the question, but seeing how a lot of DMs do in fact agree to at least consider allowing specific playtest or homebrew character concepts and content, a character like this is quite viable and definitely well within the normal parameters of acceptable mechanical capabilities. In this particular case, I imagine the Beastress as an insurgent who's been dealing with rough people and rough circumstances for the majority of her life. Her natural talents and capabilities as a shifter have been a blessing and a curse at the same time, as she has been both able to deal with all sorts of threats and struggles, but at the same time her natural resilience and durability have forced her to be the one to face those instead of relying on others for protection. I will talk about this a bit more in my detailed build breakdown videos, so if you like it so far, recklessly attack that thumbs up, bite the subscribe button and smash the bell icon to get notified when the video actually gets published. Special shout out to all of my Patreon supporters: Mike, Matthew, Ewing, BardlyManHardlyTrying, Larry Hocken, Rogor, Kaleron, SuburbanHell, Albert, Kwak, Aidan Harth, Gary Kors, Brad Oldham, Joel C Alcazar, Bredwin, your boy Fox, Sean, Mannozzi Stefano, Adekoya, bittenbi, Jeremy, Sirois, Inácio Neto, ShatteredSilence, Devin Jache, Lunatic Dragon, Zack McNemar, Darth Xín, Ebonhawk, CrackedMask, Harry Howell, Yvette Ehler, Alex Bell and Jeff Clem. Thank you for your continued support. With all of that said and done, MinMax Munchking out, and talk to you soon.